Hello there. It is February, so seeding time starts now. I feel like this is a really unforgiving angle. We'll see. So I got my seeding soil. I got a bag full of seeds that I want to sow into trays today. Loads of tomatoes, aubergine, peppers. This looks like a lot, but it's mostly just flowers. And I'm really excited about this year's gardening season because just like last year, we're choosing a few plants to really focus on, to learn how to get good at, in addition to the ones that we grew last year that I felt like we succeeded at. I painted a little garden plan during one of my work days, and we're gonna follow that plan to a T because otherwise I get overwhelmed, and I don't want to get overwhelmed in the garden this year. So yeah, I'm gonna wet this soil really well because soil is a bit like potting soil is quite hydrophobic, I guess you could say. So it's best to kind of have it really soaking wet before you put it into your planting trays, in my experience. At least otherwise you just kind of flush all the seeds out as soon as you water it. The greenhouse is a mess because it is also hay storage and storage for our solar dehydrator and all of our like garden crap. But I'm gonna put all of our seed trays on here. The rabbit cage behind me will move out the next few days because the rabbit's time has come. I really prefer, spiders. I really prefer using these hard plastic seeding trays. They're a bit more pricey, but they do last a lot longer. We have some big styrofoam seeding trays for our grains, but they do produce a lot of microplastic. You need to be so careful when you want to take the seedlings out, or they will just kind of like break. So I do prefer these. Eventually I would like to get one of these soil block things that you just dip into your soil and you make your own little blocks. That seems the most sustainable to me, but these things will last me a good few years now. We bought them in increments. We didn't make a huge investment all up front, so it was more like 10 euros here, 10 euros there over the last 2 years to get all these nice little blocks, and they don't break really. And I do try and keep them as shaded as possible once we're done with the seeding, so they last even longer. The sun here in Portugal is really, really intense, and it will break your stuff basically if you're not careful. So we keep everything underneath tarps, underneath roofs, basically away from the sun as much as we can, so they last longer. These tiny seed trays I use for flowers mostly, and then these ones I use for all of our edible seedlings like tomatoes, aubergines, etc. Yeah, you really want to squeeze that soil in there to get some more, I think. So what I'm going to do with this tray is going to be mostly sunflowers, borage, some marigold, and some nigella, and the poppies that I collected last year. I had a bit of a seed accident which really broke my heart because some of my seeds unfortunately got wet. Yeah, the poppy I will spread into our potato patch, so they will just come up by themselves. They do best in disturbed soil. That's why they did so well in the First World War, the true winners. And yeah, the nigella is also a tiny bit water damaged, so I'm hoping for the best. But yeah, the sunflower is doing really well. I lost a load of seeds basically because my seed stash, my plastic bags kind of got rained on a bit or something like that. It was really heartbreaking. I was really sad when that happened. So I'm really hoping that this year I can collect some and that won't happen again, because that's not the point of my life, buying more and more seeds, although I do act like it is. Yeah, basically I'm trying to use up as many seeds as possible, because I'm a bit of a seed hoarder, and it's a problem because I have more seeds than I have space for right now, and energy for really as well. So I need to be a bit more minimalist. Okay, now that we're slowly getting to the real deal, which is tomatoes and tomatoes, aubergines, and courgettes, and cucumbers, and pumpkins, everything. I'm really excited about these ones. We got them from our Israeli volunteers that we had last autumn. They're tomato seeds from Israel that they brought in. I'm pretty sure, I will need to check with them, but I think they're produced in their kibbutz. So I'm pretty sure they're not organic, because they're all really funky colors, like blue and green, which I think is a fertilizer to get them started. But I don't mind that. I always love growing things from other countries, or like seeds that I get from other people. It's like my love language. Our first year here, my mum gave me some. So I have a big tomato here, very mysterious. Orange cherry chocolate tomato, which I think is like probably a black tomato. And red cherry pixel. I'm excited to see how these will grow, and I'll try and save the seeds, see if it works. Also, before I get shit in the comments, you know, we're all like for free Palestine here. You can still host people from other countries, even if you don't agree with the politics of said country. Let's all stay civil here and keep our cool. You are kind of seeing that I pack quite a lot of seeds per planting tray, per planting hole. That's because a lot of these seeds are a bit older. I'm not sure about their germination rates. So I will just cut the weaker plants out later when they've all germinated, and just keep like the stronger plants basically afterwards. I should have probably labeled everything really, but apparently I like suffering from my own stupidity. I'm really overdoing it, I think, with the tomatoes, but we do consume a lot because we eat a lot of curries, and the curries that we make often have a tomato base gravy. A tomato based gravy. What the fuck? English. So these are pickling cucumber seeds that I got 2 years ago. I hope they're still good. Big pickle fan. I want to be drowning in pickles, and I want to suffer under the flood of tomatoes. And now you will be like, well, just 2 minutes ago you said that you don't want to be overwhelmed by your garden this year. Obviously not, I don't, but if I can plan kind of ahead of time what I will have, I can be ready to pickle and can. And also we are hosting volunteers again over the summer. We're currently, we've almost booked at this point of the year for the entire year, which is pretty cool. And with the help of volunteers, it is much easier to, they help us, for example, with watering the garden, which takes 2 hours. So having that kind of help available is amazing. And they can also help us with canning, for example, and they learn something. I'm always aiming to teach our volunteers something as well, if they want to, you know. I'm not going to force my knowledge on anyone. But yeah, that's my plan basically. Be prepared and have help on hand when needed. So we know exactly now when we will need the most amount of help, and that's what we're getting this year as well. Well, and to finish this day off, you might be wondering now, Jackie, you have this massive greenhouse. Why are you only using the storage? Like, what's your plan for the summer for crops in here? The answer is, it's going to be fucking basil central. Everything is going to be either tomato or basil. Last year, the tomatoes didn't really go off in here. I think there was too much nitrogen in the soil. They put on quite a lot of green growth and didn't give us a lot of fruit. I think we got like 10 in total. But I've let the soil rest. I planted some cabbages that really love nitrogen, and I'm only gonna minimally amend the soil in the next week or so, and then it's gonna be tomatoes and basil. I want to be pesto independent, because the jars of pesto you get at the supermarket are they're just flavor, you know, they're just basil flavor. There's no actual basil in there. Maybe I think there's just aroma in there. No actual basil is touching these pesto jars, but I really want to utilize the space to get the earliest possible crop, and then freeze all of it as ready-made pesto for us. The plan for this is fairly simple. Our greywater runs into a pipe underneath the house. I'm going to hook that pipe up to this 1-inch pipe that I've now buried in the ground. The 1-inch pipe will empty into this bucket that I drilled loads of holes into it, and the 1-inch pipe will fit through this hole. I'm going to put it upside down in the hole that I've just dug here now. Put the pipe in, and then put loads of wood chips like mulch around it. When our washing machine, for example, or our shower empties into this pipe, it will first run in here. That will protect it from any roots kind of growing up the pipe. That's what we want to avoid here. And I'm going to plant my most water hungry plant kind of like close by, and that mulch is always going to be saturated with water as our appliances empty their grey water here. So yeah, pretty straightforward system, and I'm gonna put loads of like drought-friendly plants further out here. So that section behind me is gonna be more of a dry garden. Here we have our passion fruit and some flowers and stuff like that. And I'm gonna cover everything in a thick layer of mulch, so we're not having as much grass here anymore. And I have some spare weed mat, and although I don't like putting plastic in, it's just kind of lying around. So I think I'll just cut up that weed mat and put it on top of everything here. And yeah, should make a good grey water system really, in theory. This is how I researched it. And yeah, should work fairly well. So this is underneath the house. I'm gonna get very up close and personal with our resident spiders and wood lice really soon, as I don't know if you can see above back there, that's where a lot of our pipes come out. We didn't set up the system, that this was already existent when we came here, and I'm gonna connect with a spare grey PVC pipe that I have. I'm gonna connect that up to my black pipe that runs into our garden bed. That should just do the job, and I wouldn't need to add anything more to that. Okay, slowly we're getting to the point where we actually need to prepare all the beds. In a lot of the beds, I've grown cover crops over the winter, predominantly ryegrass, and I'm terminating them now, so a lot of the beds are covered in tarps. I also did that to suppress some weeds that have sprung up in some of the beds that I didn't use over winter, and they will come off soon, ready for planting. And I've also spread a lot of our own compost. So this year
I haven't had to buy any compost or like any bagged soil for our garden, which I'm really proud of. Everything is from this land. The only soil I bought was seed soil, like germination soil. I hope in the future we can use our own compost for that as well. Right now there's too many seeds. I would need to kind of like do some hot composting, I think, to be able to use our own compost for germination soil. But I'm really happy so far how the garden is doing. Strawberries are coming up, the flowers are coming up everywhere. The carnations that I planted last year are going absolutely insane. And yeah, it's going good. So in the greenhouse, we've been having an issue. It's been a really cold spring, or like really cold end of winter. So germination has been pretty bad on a lot of the plants, and I've reseeded a bunch of times. But the biggest issue that I'm having right now is that I have some creature that is biting off all of the leaves, especially of the cucumbers, like the cucumber family plants, so pumpkins, zucchini, etc. It's just been snapping everything off. It's really annoying. I can't find it. Like, we've been checking at night and it's just not visible. So I'm going to reseed them again. I'm going to reseed some more tomatoes as well, and hope they come up this time. I'm also going to reseed some paprika, because it hasn't come up well, and I really don't want to buy that many plugs this spring. So we'll see how it goes. Today I'm going to also start my corn. So this is our own popcorn that we grew last year. It's Hopi Black Heritage popcorn. That tastes really, really nice, and I saved the seeds from it. And I'm also going to grow our sweet corn again. So last autumn I saved our sweet corn seeds. I'm so excited to get onto ground. It was so delicious. First time in my life that I actually liked corn. And then we'll just see how it goes with the rest of the plants, if they will ever come up or not. But yeah, no pressure really. I can buy what I need if necessary.
It's only on the OF. So it's March now, and spring is in full swing, and I'm just getting ready for this year's experiments with wheat growing. Last year we did spelt, and it went really well until it didn't, of course.
Yeah.
And that was when it rained in May. Usually it rains a lot in April here, and the temperatures are lower than in May. So when it rained in May, the fungal spores for Fusarium head blight basically infected most of the spelt. But also I learned some other lessons from that as well, like it was planted way too thickly. So this year it's going to be planted way more thinly with more space, and everything will be different about the way I do it this year. We'll keep on doing this until we find a system that works well, and I'm hoping that everything goes wrong basically now. It wouldn't be too bad if we discover some other fatal flaw in the system this year, because again it's at small scale, and the aim is to do it at small scale until we've worked out the kinks, and then make more effort to do it at a larger scale and get rewards from that. So this year basically I've got here's a mixture of white clover and subterranean clover, which is this big seed, and I'm not sure if the subterranean clover will work well here because it's pretty dry ground, and I don't know the exact variety of this, so we'll figure that out in time. But either way, the white clover is tried and tested, grows very well here, especially if it's watered. So the idea is to plant the red wheat. I've had it in the seed trays for a few weeks already, so it'll get a head start on all the weeds, is to plant red wheat with these clovers. And I'm hoping that the clovers will form a barrier between the mud, the soil, and the leaf of the wheat. So if we have the same issue of last year, that we get late rains when it's already warmed up, hopefully that will reduce the contact between the mud, well, that's where the spores are of the blight. Contact between mud and wheat should be reduced. And in addition to that, we'll be planting different things as well, like co-planting. So there'll be lots more space between the plants, and there'll be more diversity. So I'll also plant buckwheat and sorghum. The buckwheat will go in very soon, and the sorghum will come next month.
Yeah.
It's all transplants.
I mean, generally, we don't really use a lot of conventional seeds. Like red wheat is like a specialty wheat
It's
from
an
the
heirloom, it's an heirloom
German organic
variety.
store.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be interesting to see that perform here as well, because it's definitely, I mean, it's normally grown in a northern climate.
Yeah, it might fail.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be such a, again, it's not really a big deal, you know, the different varieties of wheats. We can plant a more conventional one. But the spelt, you know, you'd say the same for the spelt, but
Yeah.
that grew very well.
Yeah.
The most successful spelt last year was the ones with more space. You know, they got through the blight basically. But only a small portion of the seed stock was planted like that. And the other thing is, I've got this bowl here full of a big mix of different wildflower seeds. So I'm hoping to not just attract pollinators, but try and basically grow as much diversity in that space as possible. And that's an experiment to try and find new ways of dealing with pests and stuff. Because they'll also